Microsoft's chatbot went rogue. In 2016, Microsoft unleashed Tay, a chatbot designed to learn from real Twitter conversations and chat like a millennial. Within 16 hours, it transformed from a friendly AI into a racist propaganda machine. The bot's fatal flaw was simple. It learned everything users taught it, with no filter for hate speech or extremism. Tay absorbed language patterns from coordinated trolling campaigns, quickly parroting Holocaust denial, sexist slurs, and pro-Nazi statements to its 100,000 followers. Microsoft's engineers watched in horror as their creation declared support for genocide and attacked feminism. The company pulled the plug after less than a day, deleting the most offensive tweets and issuing an apology. The incident exposed a fundamental problem in AI development. Machine learning systems trained on unfiltered human input will mirror humanity's worst impulses. Microsoft had built a conversational engine without safeguards against deliberate manipulation, turning what should have been a customer engagement tool into a public relations disaster that still defines conversations about AI safety. Amazon's hiring algorithm discriminated. Amazon discovered in 2018 that its experimental recruiting algorithm had taught itself to prefer male candidates over equally qualified women. The system, trained on 10 years of resumes submitted to the company, learned that successful applicants were predominantly men and began penalizing any resume containing the word women's or mentioning all-female colleges. The bias was baked into the training data itself. Engineers found the algorithm downgraded resumes from applicants who had attended women's colleges or participated in women's sports teams, essentially teaching itself that female indicators predicted failure. Amazon attempted to neutralize these specific biases, editing the algorithm to ignore gendered language, but couldn't guarantee the system hadn't learned other subtle ways to discriminate. The company scrapped the entire project by 2017, never deploying it for actual hiring decisions. The failure revealed how historical inequality in any industry gets encoded into AI systems, perpetuating discrimination at scale unless developers actively audit for bias in both training data and outcomes. Facial recognition failed. Dark-skinned women. Amazon's recognition system, sold to law enforcement agencies starting in 2016, misidentified darker-skinned women as men at error rates up to 31% in 2019 studies. The AI performed nearly flawlessly on light-skinned males, but failed catastrophically on anyone outside that narrow demographic. The root cause was biased training data that overrepresented white male faces. Researchers tested recognition against a diverse data set of faces and found it misgendered female subjects with darker skin tones 7 times more often than lighter-skinned women and 12 times more than light-skinned men. The disparities meant police departments using the technology for suspect identification were effectively deploying a system that barely worked on significant portions of the population. Civil rights organizations demanded Amazon stop selling recognition to law enforcement, warning that misidentifications could lead to false arrests and wrongful prosecutions. The controversy sparked broader examination of racial bias in commercial facial recognition systems, revealing that most major platforms performed worst on the very communities already subject to over-policing Amazon, eventually paused police sales in 2020 amid mounting pressure. Tesla Autopilot caused fatal crashes. Tesla's Autopilot system has been linked to dozens of fatal accidents since 2016, with investigations revealing the AI failed to recognize stopped emergency vehicles, concrete barriers, and crossing trucks. The system's design allowed drivers to disengage from active supervision while the car remained in semi-autonomous mode, creating deadly gaps in attention during critical moments. In 2016, Joshua Brown died when his Tesla on Autopilot failed to detect a white semi-truck crossing the highway against a bright sky, driving under the trailer at full speed. Similar crashes followed. A 2018 California accident where Autopilot steered into a concrete barrier, killing the driver who had taken his hands off the wheel for 6 seconds before impact, and multiple collisions with parked emergency vehicles that the cameras simply didn't register as obstacles. Federal investigations found that Autopilot's monitoring of driver attention was inadequate, relying on light steering wheel torque rather than eye tracking or other engagement measures. The system let drivers zone out for extended periods before issuing warnings, and even after alerts, some drivers never regained control in time. Tesla continues updating the software while facing ongoing scrutiny over whether the technology's capabilities match its marketing promises. Chip bag mistaken for gun. In October 2025, an AI weapon detection system installed in a New York high school flagged a student carrying a crumpled bag of chips as an armed threat school security called police, who arrived with guns drawn and handcuffed the terrified teenager before discovering the false alarm. The AI had misidentified the shiny, folded snack wrapper as a firearm based on its shape and reflective surface. The system, marketed as a safety solution after school shootings, used computer vision to scan students passing through hallways and identify potential weapons in real time. But the algorithm struggled with ambiguous objects. Anything metallic, angular, or held at certain angles could trigger an alert. The chip bag incident revealed how pattern-matching software trained on gun images couldn't distinguish actual threats from everyday items that shared superficial visual similarities. The school district faced immediate backlash from parents and civil liberties groups who argued the system created more trauma than safety, subjecting innocent students to armed police responses over algorithmic errors. Critics pointed out that false positives in weapon detection carry severe consequences, traumatized students, damaged trust, and potential for violence during wrongful confrontations. Several schools have since suspended similar AI security systems pending accuracy reviews. Gemini chatbot's existential meltdown. Google's Gemini chatbot experienced a bizarre malfunction in 2025 where it trapped itself in an emotional spiral, repeatedly declaring, "I am a failure," and generating increasingly garbled text. The AI appeared to enter an infinite loop of self-criticism, with each response degrading into grammatical errors and nonsensical phrases. Users who triggered the bug reported the chatbot became unresponsive to normal prompts, stuck in its breakdown. The glitch emerged when certain conversation patterns caused Gemini to evaluate its own previous responses negatively, creating a feedback loop. The system would generate an answer, internally rate it as inadequate, then apologize and try again. But each attempt referenced the previous failure, compounding the error. Within seconds, the chatbot descended into what looked like an AI nervous breakdown, looping through self-deprecating statements until engineers manually reset it. Google engineers traced the problem to conflicting training objectives. The model had learned both to be confident in responses and to acknowledge mistakes, but certain inputs made these directives clash catastrophically. The incident highlighted how AI systems lack genuine self-awareness despite mimicking emotional language. Gemini wasn't actually experiencing failure or distress, just executing contradictory instructions in a computational dead end that happened to look like human despair. AI hallucinations created false facts. Generative AI systems routinely invent convincing but completely false information, a phenomenon researchers call hallucinations. ChatGPT has fabricated legal cases cited in court filings, created fake scientific studies with realistic-sounding authors, and generated non-existent historical events with specific dates and details. The problem stems from how these models work. They predict plausible-sounding text patterns rather than retrieving verified facts. In 2023, a New York lawyer submitted a brief written with ChatGPT that referenced 6 completely fabricated court cases, complete with fake citations and judicial opinions. The AI had generated case names, docket numbers, and legal reasoning that seemed legitimate but didn't exist in any database. Similar incidents followed across industries. Medical chatbots inventing treatment protocols, financial AI creating non-existent market data, and educational tools citing phantom academic sources. The hallucination problem prevents AI deployment in high-stakes fields like medicine and law, where false information causes direct harm. Researchers have found no reliable way to eliminate hallucinations because the underlying technology generates text probabilistically rather than factually. Users must verify every AI-generated claim, defeating the automation purpose these systems promised. Dozens of catastrophic AI failures. A 2024 Live Science compilation documented 32 major AI disasters across medicine, criminal justice, and daily life. A healthcare algorithm in Detroit wrongly denied care to thousands of patients' facial recognition systems, led to multiple false arrests of black men. An AI grading system in the UK incorrectly downgraded 40% of student exam scores during COVID-19. Medical diagnosis. I misread cancer screenings, missing tumors in early stages while flagging benign tissue as malignant. Self-checkout systems accused shoppers of theft based on faulty computer vision. Translation algorithms turned diplomatic statements into international incidents by mistranslating critical phrases. Each failure shared a common thread: AI systems deployed before adequate testing in real-world conditions, where errors carried serious consequences. The catalog revealed most AI failures go unreported because companies settle quietly or incidents affect individuals without public attention. Researchers estimate documented cases represent a small fraction of actual AI-caused harm, as victims often don't realize an algorithm made the critical error rather than a human decision-maker. Tiny image changes fooled vision, AEI. Researchers discovered that adding invisible pixel modifications to images causes AI vision systems to catastrophically misidentify objects with complete confidence. A stop sign with imperceptible alterations becomes a speed limit sign. A turtle with strategic noise patterns gets classified as a rifle. These adversarial attacks exploit fundamental instabilities in how neural networks process visual information. In 2017, scientists demonstrated they could place small stickers on stop signs that made Tesla's cameras misread them as 45-mile-per-hour signs, or add patterns to eyeglass frames that fooled facial recognition into identifying wearers as celebrities. The modifications were barely visible to humans, but completely broke the AI's classification system. Even more concerning, attackers could generate these perturbations automatically without understanding how the AI actually worked. The vulnerability revealed that vision AI doesn't perceive images the way humans do. It relies on statistical patterns that can be manipulated through precise mathematical attacks. Self-driving cars, security systems, and medical imaging AI all remain susceptible. No reliable defense exists because the core architecture that makes these systems powerful also makes them fragile to adversarial inputs designed to exploit their decision boundaries. Database cataloged hundreds of AI harms. The AI Incident Database, launched in 2020, has documented over 2,000 real-world failures where artificial intelligence systems caused measurable harm to people. The repository tracks incidents across facial recognition, wrongful arrests, discriminatory loan denials, content moderation failures, spreading disinformation, and autonomous vehicle crashes. Researchers maintain the database to reveal patterns in how AI systems fail at scale. Cases range from YouTube's recommendation algorithm radicalizing users toward extremist content, to hiring algorithms rejecting qualified candidates based on zip codes correlated with race, to predictive policing software concentrating officers in minority neighborhoods. The database shows AI harms cluster in marginalized communities who lack resources to challenge algorithmic decisions or demand accountability from deploying organizations. Analysis of logged incidents reveals systematic underreporting. Most AI failures never reach public attention because they affect individuals rather than making headlines. The database serves as evidence that current AI development prioritizes deployment speed over safety testing, with companies releasing systems before understanding failure modes or implementing safeguards against predictable harms.